This book very much feels like a love note to Ravenloft. You clearly love Ravenloft. Why?
Big horror nerd. Let's see.
It's a good prerequisite for sure.
No, it's like, it's one of these things where it's like claiming the pedigree of like, I have been playing horror adventures for years and years. Doesn't make me an expert, it just makes me old. It really, I've been a big fan of Ravenloft. I got into it in second edition. I love the Gothic horror elements. I'm always, certainly a team vampire sort of guy. But the thing that I always enjoyed the most about it was that Ravenloft encouraged not just good DMing, but atmospheric DMing. It really encouraged you to like step beyond the table and consider what is the full effect? What is the experience that you're trying to create for your players? What are the tricks that you can do at the table with to build atmosphere, to make your entire game setup just feel just more conducive to the vibe that you're trying to create? And it's one thing to have an exciting adventure that everybody enjoys. That's fantastic. But I definitely remember early times playing Ravenloft and realizing that like I futzed with the lighting. I've got the music just right. The pacing is perfect. Everybody's starting to lean in. Like your voice drops and everybody's clinging on every word, and they're there. They're seeing it, they're having the experience. And that's the point where it's like, this is a magical storytelling moment. This is really fun. Like folks are really invested in this, and it's chilling and it's suspenseful, and it's at the end you have this exciting experience with your friends, but then the lights come up and afterwards folks are like, okay, cool, like that was really fun, or you remember that time, or whatever have you. And that's really like right there was when I was getting into playing these horror adventures. It's like, okay, this is the magic of D&D.
What scares you?
Why would I ever tell you that?
Because I'm trustworthy. Ask all of it. Ask the entire creative team. I won't use it against you at all.
Let's see. This is a good question. And another one that I get a bunch is like, what Darklord would you be? It's just like, no, that all sounds horrible.
I would prefer not to be any of them.
Right? What scares me? Well, it's one of these things where it's like, I'm flippant about it, but it's something definitely worth thinking about when you're about to run a horror game. Because if there are elements of the game where it's just like you don't want to see it, or you don't want to enjoy, or you don't enjoy that, or whatever have you, it's a good thing to bring up with your friends at your table if you're comfortable with sharing that. Like, perfect example, I love horror films, but like I will never watch a Saw movie.
No.
So if I'm talking with my friends and we're going to run a horror game, I would probably bring up like, okay, I'm not down for this, I'm not down for this, and I'm not doing this. Conversely, if I'm going to run a horror game and I know what I want to do, I'm going to express it to my players that like, hey, guess what? We're going to do something with vampires. We're probably going to have elements of body horror involved in it, or like dark fantasy. We're going to play with these themes. And you know what? Expect undead, but not the sloppier versions. And if folks want to make a call based on that, then great, fantastic. If they want into the game, beautiful. If they're like, not feeling it, also fantastic. And those are all conversations and elements of running a horror game that I feel are important, but we also explore in the course of the book how to have those conversations, how to front load these discussions so it's not something that comes up mid-game and ends up having a situation where, like, just frankly, you could make somebody uncomfortable or you might lose friends. Like, have a framework for how to discuss these elements, adjust them on the fly if you need to, and if something goes sideways, just be able to adjust and get right back to the fun.
How do you personally like to run a horror game?
Tyrannically. I get pretty like, okay, you can play, we're doing this at this time, no food, like no phones, put those in the hats outside. Like, it's because it's one of these elements where it's like, I really tend to invest a lot into the atmosphere. If we weren't, forever via video calls and whatnot, like, I love, like, let's wait until after dark, let's adjust the lighting, I'll have the music, like, all scripted throughout the encounters, getting rid of as many distractions as possible and really leading into, like, okay, we're here to play this adventure. It is going to be a horror adventure, so please keep in that mindset and we'll have a great time. I love setting up those frameworks and playing with folks who are really there for that experience. You can have a great time running that sort of thing, even if you've got somebody who's more of a jokester. But certainly, if you've got everybody at the table is really there to be scared, and even to, like, one up the DM's description, like, the best are players who are like, oh, the thing has 1,000 eyes? My character's afraid of goats. Are they goat eyes? Yes, they are no. Goat eyes. Wow, beautiful.
That is so much more upsetting.
Right?
A gibbering mouther with goat eyes and horse teeth.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just bleats, but in a way that sounds like your grandmother.
No. That's fantastic. And you've got so many great guidelines for running Ravenloft games. What do you have key advice for any dungeon master in how to approach this book? Again, this was a fantastic read, and I love all the different tables to choose from. The randomness that you can have here is wonderful, and lots of seeds of ideas. Was that key to the approach? Was to inspire people to think?
Oh, first of all, thank you. Like, loving to hear that folks are digging it. And yes, absolutely. Ravenloft is a setting that has a fantastic pedigree, but it's also interesting because Ravenloft as an adventure has perhaps been recreated for Dungeons and Dragons and other mediums more than any other adventure. And the number of times you've seen Strahd again and again, but slightly different. And now like this. And now the castle's a little different. And now this is a little different. And now he looks like this, or this happens, or whatever have you, has changed in some cases significantly over the years. But it continues to be a great story. I always love the idea of, since Ravenloft isn't a planet, since it isn't static, since the very laws of physics are aggressive and antagonistic toward the Darklords and the folks in the domains, the potential for things to shift and change in a nightmarish way, making these domains almost like reoccurring nightmares, is fascinating. So in my mind, like, I like the idea of, like, every Curse of Strahd campaign, every Ravenloft adventure that's ever been played, they're all canon. They've all happened to Strahd. He's failed that way, into this group, into that, and every little adjustment to him has panned out a little differently each time. And that's something that we wanted to lean into with the book, is the idea that things can be different. They're ultimately yours, though. Yes, you can run the classic Castle at Ravenloft dungeon crawl and have a fantastic experience. But if you want to adjust that a little bit, if you want to tweak that a little bit, if maybe in this one, Castle Ravenloft is an island, on a stormy sea. If Strahd is actually filled with terrifying otherworldly worms, like if you want to take it in a direction that leans more into the horror that you want to explore, you can absolutely do that. You, to an extent, as DMs, you are the dark powers. Like, twist things, adjust things, make the worlds feel unsettling and yours, and create the horror experiences that you want to see and that your groups enjoy.
If you want to watch more videos on Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, we've got a whole lot more coming up. If you want to support the channel, you can check out the Amazon affiliate link in the description and purchase the book, or just like, subscribe, share with your friends, and leave some comments down below. I love talking about Ravenloft, so I'm going to keep doing it. I hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you so much for watching.